All right, there's been a lot of change in humidity around here, so I don't know. Is this thing in tune? Oh my goodness, it's already out of tune. Like when you have like changes in dry air and then humidity, you you have to constantly retune. I always am amazed when artists walk out on stage and they pick up their guitar and start playing it because in the 5 minutes or even longer that guitar has been sitting there, it could be completely out of tune, right? Unless you're in a very in a place where the humidity and temperature is has been perfect for a long time and your guitar's been sitting there. But anyway, I was playing around tonight, and one thing I really like, and I mentioned this a lot of times, is I like rock and roll. And the big thing about rock and roll is that it's basically a few simple chords and then some seven chords thrown in with there, and then some nice guitar work, right? That I can't do. Like, the people that I know that are exceptional guitarists laugh when I say, oh, I'd like to be able to play like Chuck Berry, and they're like, oh, that's simple. It's not simple to me. But these people, they spent you know, many years focusing on that sort of thing. And for them, it's simple. And this is the thing about musicians is that sometimes their music gets overly complicated because they're bored. They don't want to do simple music. It's as simple as that. And it's this constant struggle between the audience and the band because the band wants to push themselves as far as they can. They want to be the best, and an audience only has so much tolerance for it. And I really respect the bands that succeed at that. Rush and Yes are two of those bands. And while I am not a super fan of either of them, they managed to do what they were doing without going so far over the top that it became a musical. And some of the stuff that Yes did at some point in time, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like I'd rather listen to Schumann or John Coltrane. Like I don't know if there's a place for that in rock, but everyone has their own opinions. Anyway, I think I've tuned my guitar. It's probably because of the humidity out of tune again already. But I was just playing around with major chords, the 1, 4, and 5 chords. If you're playing in any major key, your 1, your 4, and your 5 are your major chords, and that is the basis of so much folk music, and especially in the United States, folk music. Well, I'm playing in G here, so I mean that's what it's all about. And I try to not do that. I have in the past, and you know what? I'm going to start heading more towards doing that because I want to add some seven chords in, and I want to do some rock and roll. Um, and so that was what I was doing tonight, and it made me think of my father. And my father passed away when I wouldn't say I was young, but I certainly was not old, and he put up with my dad. He liked country and rock and roll, and he put up with I used to listen to Schumann and Brahms, and he would put up with that, and John Coltrane, he would put up with that. But Bob Dylan, when I put that on, he really thought the world. And but I didn't tell him who Bob Dylan was. But I guess I had a CD, right? It was that late. Like my father passed away soon after CDs came out. I think I had a CD of Bob Dylan, and I had played it, and my father had never heard of who Bob Dylan was, because he was a country and rock and roll guy, and he was older. And I'll never forget. He had seen the cover, and he said to me, I was playing Schumann or something, who knows, or maybe some punk records. He said, "Why don't you put on that Bobby Dylan? He's good." Right. And I was like, who are you talking about? And figured it out. It was Bob Dylan, you know. And Bob Dylan, obviously an exceptional artist, right? You know. But I was playing around with my guitar tonight because I was like, I want to simplify things. I want to do those major chords and I want to do some seven chords. How do they do that, right? And you play around with that and you figure it out. And it's Americana, whatever. But it really had me thinking about my dad because I was thinking, gee, instead of him having to listen to me doing uh, Bach and stuff like that on my piano keyboard, because I just had this practice keyboard. It sounded like crap. But my father was so proud of me that I was getting ready to head off to university and study music. And anyone who knows me now can laugh, right? But he was so proud and he enjoyed hearing it, and he was always very supportive. He was like, I can't believe you're playing that. And counterpoint, I mentioned this in a video before, sounds much more complicated than it is. It's essentially two melodies where point to point, they work together, whatever. um, but he was very supportive. But it's funny that now, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to stay away from complex stuff and I'm trying to get into simple stuff. So I was just playing around tonight and I played this and it almost brought me to tears because it reminded me of my dad. So, Dad, this one is kind of for you, right? So it's just some chords, whatever. We would have had some fun with that. Good night.